All right, cool.
Man, I'm here with Rockwell. What's good with you, bro?
What's good with you, bro? Hold on. Hey, my bad. Let me get my AirPods, the Bluetooth on, and you can keep this recording. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
they're not hooked up right now. I gotta get the Bluetooth on.
Okay, for sure,
One
man.
second.
Yeah, like recording.
Got you. All right.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So I'm here with Rockwell, man. What's good with you?
Chilling, man. It's been a
Definitely.
crazy, crazy month. It's been crazy fucking end of the year.
The last time I saw you was like at Dash Radio, and like we talked about like this is like right before the Tupac Star ceremony. And like we talked about like
Yeah.
a bunch of like different issues. Like so many things has happened. Like since then, like right now, like Keefe D is on trial for the murder of Tupac, participating in it at least. Like what do you think about that?
All right. I got a lot to say about that. I'm gonna ask you what you think about that after I say what I think about that.
Okay.
I think he was in a car. He'd been telling the story, but I don't even know anymore if Orlando Anderson did it. I think it's the other dude in the car who
Big
died.
Dre.
Yeah, yeah, that's who I think did it. And I think he was trying to, because Orlando Anderson, which is his nephew, he passed away. I think it was easier for him to just say that he did it. And then Big Dre passed away too, right? He died too.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I think it was him, to be honest, because the logistics of it don't make no sense. Because I think Orlando Anderson was in the back right seat passenger, and I think Big Dre was in the left. Am I wrong about that? I'm not sure. Who was like
So
what?
Big Dre
Mhm.
was on the driver's side, and I like think Orlando Anderson, like they're saying he would have had to reach over Big Dre and shoot out the window, which is completely possible.
Yeah, it is possible. You're
But
right. Mhm.
people were saying like
I'm
so
smoking a cigarette on here. I said I didn't want to smoke a cigarette on here,
what's
but
cool
kids don't do
like
this shit. But it's cool.
but here's the thing, like so the argument would be because Suge Knight is saying like that Orlando wasn't the shooter, but I feel like the reason that people were saying that because like his mother, who Keefe D is related to, because that's his nephew, so his sister, basically like feels like some type of way like she doesn't like Orlando being like mentioned as a murderer. That probably
hmm
doesn't like they weren't raised like that, like even though like he's a gangbanger and stuff, everything, like if his family, so like why is he saying that? Should he say Big Dre? And also it's kind of like in the streets and stuff, everything, like how much did that like help his reputation as far as like in the streets, like that Orlando was the shooter, like made him like appear into like this perfect person of like mythic proportions. Like I think like one of the things and stuff that I see like within hip-hop is like a lot of these people have like been made into like something that they weren't, like in the streets, like based on like lore of something that happened where people don't really know the story and stuff, everything. But then if you like really dig into it, like this person wasn't like that at all. So like I think like there's a little bit in like the fact that Keefe D could get paid for interviews,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of like the book he wrote, and like I mean he probably needed money because he's not like involved in being a drug dealer anymore. That time is over. He doesn't want to go to jail. That seems like an easy way to get money. Like I think like there's probably some people who would lie about being involved in the murder to get on some platforms. If you could go on DJ Vlad, he's gonna pay you $5,000 and stuff to say like, hey, yeah, I shot Tupac. I don't know. It's
and yeah, I think KVD was definitely in the car. He said it in his interviews, and I don't think he's the one who shot him, and I don't even think he should be in jail right now, to be honest with you. And can you hear me good? Because I could put on my other like because I know
yeah.
the
You're,
AirPods aren't.
I,
I'm
I
good right now.
yeah. I can hear you fine. The thing like I think about Keefe D, I think Keefe D seems like a really cool person. Like I don't
Yeah,
feel
yeah, I
like
fuck with KVD.
necessarily, besides like the only thing and stuff when he was saying like that Tupac was breakdancing, I thought that was like really distasteful. But like he hasn't said like a whole lot of things in like interviews and stuff.
That's how people talk. That's how they just talk, like, and I don't
But
think it's just like, yeah,
uh I think like Tupac wouldn't want uh anyone to, you know, be in prison, you know, because he was against the police and stuff. I think like, you know, I see like,
Exactly.
I think I see though like a difference though, like in Mopreme. I mean, I think he wants justice for his brother, which I don't think he's wrong to want that. Like, you know, so like if he gets justice from it and by Keefe D going to jail, then I think I would want Keefe D to go to jail. Because
I
it
continue.
from that perspective of like Mopreme, if he feels like, you know what I mean, that brings closure to the death of his brother, like, you know what I mean, Keefe D going to jail, then that's what I want, if that makes
I
sense.
don't. I get what you're saying. I don't even think that KVD going to jail is justice for it. Because like you just said, like I think Tupac wouldn't even want that. To be honest with you, I
Yeah,
think
and
he just
I'm not
would.
sure if that's what Mopreme wants and stuff and everything, but like I'm just like, you know, speculating. And like, you know, I
Mhm.
like, you know, I
I didn't even know Mo Preem was his brother until like recently, like a year ago. I didn't even know.
oh, you
I
never
know like I heard about it, but I was like never sure about it. You know, like I always feel like because I saw his father. I never heard about his father either. Talk and like and
I didn't hear
so
about his father until to this year. Yeah, like you know, that was
yes,
a new thing. Like, you know, Billy Gardner, I think that's his name.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like and like I guess Pac, like, you know, found out like, you know, towards the end of his life, you know, that you know, that his mom, like, you know, had lied about him being dead and stuff, everything, or his father was like, you know, somebody in the streets. And that's kind of like, you know, as far as like, you know, it's interesting, you know,
It's
that
very interesting. And actually, I did like I'm like an expert on this situation. I'm not an expert. I'm not like a whatever D whatever. I'm not like FBI or somebody like that, but or DA. But I've done a lot of like I've watched all the interviews because this shit. In fact, I'm infatuated with this shit. So yeah, I never heard about these people being their family, but I believe it. I believe that these people are his family members. It's just so weird that like when he was alive, we never heard nothing about them. So I'm with you on the fact that Pac wouldn't want Keefe D to be in jail, but who knows what the fuck? I like who knows? I'm not affiliated with the family, so maybe he did want them in jail.
yeah,
So
I'm not either. Like, you know, I've like filmed some videos for like Just Jelani, who used to be signed to Big Psych. And I think, you know, he kind of like talks to like Mopreme and stuff like that. I've been in the like at the Tupac ceremony, but like I was on the other side of like, you know, the fans. I wasn't in the inner area where like YG and like all those people. So like at this point, like I mean, I can't really say like, you know, how they feel or like, you know, I'm just speaking from my own personal opinion. But like as a person who has been a victim of crime before, you know,
mhm.
seeing like your loved ones and stuff, everything, like I think like, you know, I wouldn't feel bad, like, you know, if one of the people that murdered my people went to jail. That's
100% because I'm not a street person at all. Like I've just been in the industry, and I'm not. So for me, I agree with you. Like I would want justice for my family members as well, but I don't know about how Pac will feel, but I'm with you on that. And can I tell you a little quick story?
yeah, yeah.
So in Keefe D's interview with Vlad, Keefe D said that they met up in and that's where I'm from, Cerritos.
Oh,
Cerritos is like it's like a small town,
yeah, I've been
I
to
love
Cerritos.
that. Shout out to Cerritos, and they met. So Keefe D said in his interview that he met up with Puffy in Cerritos. Like I was like, what the fuck? I never heard my city ever mentioned ever before. I was like, yo, they met up in Cerritos to talk about that $1 million whatever. And I was like, man, that they met up in Cerritos. That's crazy. Like I had to rewind that shit a million times. Like he really said that they met up with Puffy in Cerritos, and I was like, damn, this is crazy because I was like, maybe I misheard that, and I was like, no, they're saying Cerritos. They met up in Cerritos to talk. That's what Keefe D said allegedly,
Yeah,
to talk about. So Puff met up with the not the Crips. Yeah, it actually is the Crips. He's Southside Crips in
yeah,
Cerritos to talk about the $1 million whatever. Yeah, so y'all know what I'm talking about. The $1 million
yeah,
bound. I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like so like basically that Puffy Diddy is part of a murder for hire scheme for Tupac, but he never like, you know, actually the money never got to Keefe D. It ended up in the hands of Von Zip. I think TK Kirkland has said on DJ Vlad previously that he saw the check, and Gene Deal, like, saw the check as well, that, like, Von Zip had gotten for the alleged murder of Tupac that he was supposed to take to Keefe D. Keefe D never got the money. So
Mm-hmm.
Von Zip took it. Like, I mean, the FBI allegedly knows all this information because, like, like he's talking, but like, I guess, like, it just became, like, known to, like, the Las Vegas Police Department within the last year. So
Yeah. I think it's been known for a while, and I don't know. I'm wondering why it's been, because we all in LA. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, in LA, everybody's kind of been knowing about what happened, but the only thing that changed is we thought Orlando Anderson did it, but the more news that comes out, it might be, what's his name,
yeah, well,
Big
like,
Dre.
the way I think about it is, like, I think, like, the Las Vegas police, they're not going to understand, like, Los Angeles gang culture, like, being in Nevada. Like, it is kind of like a complicated case. The only way, like, it got solved is because, like, Keefe D wrote a book about it, and, like, started
Yeah.
interview platforms, even though, like, people and stuff, like, in the streets. I think I knew this information in 2011, 2010. Like, I'd heard
Mm-hmm.
this that I'd heard pretty much, like, I'd heard all of this in, like, 2010, 2011. So that was probably, a decade. And it takes, like, it took that time. Keefe D enjoyed, I mean, I guess that was free time if he gets convicted, that he was free on the streets. So,
But you know what happened, right? Like, so Keefe D got caught up with he was selling a lot of PCP or whatever, like a lot of drugs
right.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
He had a proffer
Yeah.
agreement. So he had a proffer,
Yeah. So
which is, like,
yeah.
it's like Queen for a day. But, like, the thing is stuff that nobody.
Explain that real quick to your audience. The
So, like,
proffer
a
agreement.
proffer agreement is basically, like, that you won't be arrested, but they can use these, like, charges that they find out, like, at a later time about it, they can come charge you again. But, like, doing the proffer agreement, um, Greg Kading recorded that, and he put that out, like, to the world. Like, I think he also wrote a book, and that's what caused Keefe D and stuff to write his book. Because,
Yeah.
I guess, like, he felt like people were saying, like, that he was a snitch and stuff and everything. But, like, he wanted to explain his side of the story, because I guess Keefe D doesn't feel like he snitched because nobody went to jail with any of the information he told. Actually, he stopped people from getting, indicted and getting charges and getting arrested, because he, like, helped them.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think Keefe D didn't really do nothing other than being in the car with that. But, like, we'll get into that. But, like, with Keefe D, I don't really think he did nothing wrong in that situation. I don't think he really snitched like that. I think he got caught up. He didn't snitch on. He didn't say no names, and he just gave information that he knew that could help his situation without giving no names. Because he basically snitched on his nephew who died. You know,
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
another That's a whole, like, another
And
situation. Because,
that's
like, I know
another,
Ti got in trouble
and
for that
that's
too. But
another thing, like, too, like, why it, I mean, maybe they just wanted to close the case. Like, Greg Kading was heading, like, an FBI task force, and, like, maybe Orlando was never the shooter, but it made sense if Big Dre is alive for him to say that Orlando was the shooter, because Orlando was already dead. Even if Big Dre
yeah,
was the shooter, it made sense for him at that particular moment to say that Orlando was the shooter, because then Big Dre would have been indicted for the murder of Tupac because he was still alive. And
yeah,
so, like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think, like, we'll never really possibly know the truth. I think, like, there's people who do know it, like Suge Knight, but, like, I feel like Suge Knight, Keefe D, they all have interesting relationships with the truth. You know,
hmm
you can't take, like,
hmm
a lot of the things that they say for, like, face value. And that's another problem, I think, like, with the proliferation of social media, like, where people and stuff will kind of, like, make up things because they know it's a little bit more sexy and stuff. Like, who do you think, like, oh, like, it's a plot twist, Big Dre or, the CIA, they want to keep that, because they continue making money off of it. If we know for sure who did it, like, this is definite, there's no reason to pay attention to Suge Knight. There's no more reason
Hmm.
to pay attention to Keefe D. You know, people will build whole industries off of it. You see, like every other day, Art of Dialogue, you know, he's pulling up like, you know, Tupac's prom date. So, like, you know what I mean, and stuff. It kind of stops like the money flow, you know, if like, you know, this murder is solved.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm the only thing I'm wondering about is why 27 years later, and I do think like police is involved, and I think police is involved with Biggie and Tupac's murders, and I don't think police is involved in Tupac's as much as Biggie's murder, but I feel like the police is there's a reason why they're coming out with this 27 years later, and they didn't come out with it before. They already knew the situation, and I just I'm not a detective, but I know I believe
Well, you want to hear something like I thought was weird? It was like I watched this documentary. It was like one of the security guards. He was saying like very clearly he heard on the radio and stuff, everything like after they shot Tupac, and he was like, "Got him." And then I wrote on like, you know, Bomb First, this Reggie Wright's
Mhm,
platform. And like, you know, as
mhm.
soon
Shout
as
to
I wrote
Reggie
the
Rice.
comment and stuff, everything, like he was like, oh, he lied. And like, you know, there were like information has come out, like, you know, that Reggie Wright, you know, was fired that week. Like, I don't know if you've seen like, you know, the interviews and stuff where like they talked about like
I've seen a lot of Reggie Rice interviews.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had fired like Reggie Wright. Like, you know, so there's
What
like
do you think about the Reggie? My bad to cut you off, but what do you think about like Reggie Wright's interviews? Like, do you think he's telling the truth? I'm just asking. And yeah,
um sometimes, I mean, I think like, you know who I would believe, like, you know, see, I think like, you know, that's another person that probably has an interesting relationship with the truth. I've seen like, you know,
hmm,
some dishonesty in him. I think like, you know, if any there's people who have been pointed him to be like, you know, part of like, you know, the murder of Tupac and Biggie. Like Stug says, like, you know, if you solve one murder, you solve them both. That's like, you know, the famous quote, like, you know, that he said, like, if you solve one murder, you solve them both. So the person who was responsible for Tupac's murder was also responsible for Biggie's murder. And like,
mm,
you know, that's just like one of those interesting, like, you know, like quotes, like obviously. But outside of like, you know what I mean, and stuff, everything, like there's a lot going on with Diddy, man. You know,
all right,
like
let's go to
he
Diddy.
just like
Yeah,
lost that
we'll
this,
come back to the spot shit later. We'll come back to the
yeah,
spot
yeah.
shit because yeah, but we'll go to that. Yeah.
Diddy, man, he settled out with Cassie in a day, which like, I mean, I honestly, that's not a good look, you know, but like, you know, and then the things I'm hearing on the internet, like, you know, it's just like egregious, you know. I'm not gonna attack anybody for their sexuality, man. Like, you know, people can do like what they want to do in private. I think like, you know, where I draw the line though is forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. And that's like, you know, what was the allegations against him. Um, I have heard like, you know what I mean, and stuff like a lot of like, you know, questionable behavior and stuff, and everything, but like you can't shame the man for being like, you know, if he's bisexual or if he's homosexual and stuff, and everything. I think like I see a lot of that, like, you know, it's like, oh, but hip hop culture is like, you know, very masculine energy, especially in the 90s. So like maybe that like, you know, could be a reason like, you know, why somebody would like hide their sexuality. That would make sense. Like, you know, artists and stuff not necessarily wanting to like, you know, come out and be um honest about their sexuality. But like
Yeah.
I think like, you know, one of the things and stuff, I just think when you go into the idea that he's forcing women, you know, he like Cassie was like a kidnapped victim is how it's kind of being portrayed. And like, you know, kind of like seeing that I didn't have that idea that he was abusing her, forcing her to stay with him. Did you think that?
I didn't think that either, to be honest with you. And no disrespect to Cassie fans or people who believe, I I don't believe that even to this right now as I speak. Um, I don't think he was forcing her. I think there's certain motives, and because let me ask you a question, like us as males, right? And this is no disrespect to Cassie
Yeah,
or to her allegations. I'm saying like, okay, I was 19, 20 at a certain time as well, right? Like
right.
nobody could force me to do nothing. I don't care if you offer me 20 million. I'm not
Right.
going to do nothing that I didn't want to do. So I'm finding it hard to accept the fact that a lot of these women want to say, "Oh, like I worked on," and I've worked for corporations as well. I worked for
Yeah.
major record labels, and nobody can force me to do anything that I do not want to do. Sorry, I just smoked, and I don't really smoke cigarettes like that. But anyways,
Well, well,
but
like
what,
with that said,
let me finish this real quick, real quick. So I'm saying like I understand the dynamics between strength, like men's strength, like physical strength, and
yeah,
women's strength, but I also know the dynamics of corporation strength, right? So if you can't force me, who wants to be, I want to be successful so badly, like, and I finally got there. I hadn't been doing nothing like that. So, like Dave Chappelle said, that's a brittle spirit. Okay, Dave Chappelle said shit. So it's like, if people got to be, oh, this is gonna, I gotta think about this and word this correctly. People have to be held accountable to what they agree to. And I was 19 and 20 also. And Cassie, I love you. Let me just stop right there, okay? Let me
yeah.
not go.
So like I think like you could definitely compel people to do things that they don't want to do because like if he was holding like her record deal or like possibly having a career in the music industry, if she felt like honestly that if she came out like that maybe it could go left, like that he could, because he had so many fans and stuff that like that they could turn against him, like
look,
they
look, the
that
one
that
thing I'll
has
say, the one
that
thing I'll
has
say,
happened to people though, like where they've been attacked, for like I think about like the girl who accused Kobe Bryant of sexual assault, like and people like bring up the fact though that she had like another man's semen and stuff, everything. That doesn't mean like that he didn't necessarily sexually assault her and stuff, everything, like or it doesn't mean that he did.
yeah, sexual assault is a real thing. And the one thing
Yeah,
I'll say is that if Diddy did abuse, like, I don't know what to believe, but if he did physically abuse Cassie, and let's make sure this shit is clear right now. So if he physically abused Cassie, that's a whole nother, like, and that's terrible. That's
right.
beyond. That's like you should go to jail for life if you did that. And I think that's like, and I feel for Cassie with that, and I feel for Cassie for all this shit. So, I really do feel for Cassie. All I'm trying to say is, I'm wondering, like, why, just the civil case, the lawsuit, and I'm also wondering. I'm not understanding. But let me just make this clear. I'm not understanding. So I want answers, and it's like it's a good situation for a dialogue here. It's like for even female victims, it's like, okay, what is okay? It's one thing to be Bill Cosby. Me and you did this on my podcast about Bill Cosby, right?
Okay, so
It's,
let's, so we
but no,
know.
no, hold
Yeah.
on, oh, one second. So it's like, okay, it's one thing to slip the drugs into the thing, but like when people say like they're feeding them drugs, sometimes I think like you might have been taking drugs. Like, I won't take no drugs if I don't care. I don't care if you're Elon Musk. I'm not taking no drugs and like so. Yeah, I might have got myself in trouble already, but let's keep this going because this is I'm
So,
speaking my truth. So,
so
yeah.
in this suit filed in federal district court in Manhattan, Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura and who had long been Mr. Combs' romantic partner, says that not long after she met him in 2005, when she was 19, he began a pattern of control and abuse that include plying her with drugs, beating her, and forcing her to have sex with a succession of male prostitutes while he filmed the encounters. In 2018, the suit says near the end of their relationship, Mr. Combs forced his way into her home and raped her. So, like,
That's crazy. That part is crazy. And
I mean,
that's tragic. And I feel for Cassie on all that shit.
I think like lawsuits can certainly like reach the point of hyperbole because like how much of this can Cassie prove? That's the thing and stuff, everything. Like I feel that like as a black man in America, that if there was any evidence of this, that no matter how much money that Diddy has, he would be in jail. regardless of it,
Yeah,
a simple
because Harvey
like,
Weinstein had a shitload of money too. You're right. Like you're
so it's
absolutely
like
right.
I don't think like money, like I mean, you don't think law enforcement would love to put Diddy in jail, and that's the issue I have. Like that there's
Yeah,
been no charges against Diddy, but like you see every media platform kind of like making it seem like he's done something so wrong, he's the devil. But like if he did something so wrong, like why isn't he in jail? That would be a question I had.
I really agree with on that part because and I understand like and if that did happen, if especially the physical abuse, if he beat her, and I'm hearing stories about that, and
Well,
again,
but
this is
like
all alleged. Yeah,
also like it seems like he has some volatile relationships, and like I'm not
yeah.
going to deny the fact, like what I mean, and stuff that there could have been some domestic violence issues, like in his past relationships, but that doesn't necessarily equate to rape. You know what I
I'm
mean?
with
Like,
you.
and
I'm
I
with
feel
you.
like I think like
I wanted to disagree with you because it would make better content, but I'm with you on that.
my
Yeah,
personal feeling is that Cassie, like she wanted the lifestyle that she had with Diddy, but she no longer wanted to be with him. She's with a personal trainer. Personal trainers don't typically make like what I mean, what Diddy makes. So like how could she have like be with the dream guy she wants and like what I'm saying, get that lifestyle, and that's you get that civil loss,
yeah.
and like what I
I,
mean, that's my personal feeling. Like what I mean, I not to say like some of that stuff like probably has like grains of truth, but like I don't feel the need like like these other platforms. I'm really disappointed in a lot of like platforms, like how they continuously put Diddy down. And like if you weren't speaking about Diddy, if you're not Gene Deal or Mark Curry, like you shouldn't be talking
that
about
part,
Diddy
that
right
part.
now. Yeah, like what I mean, and stuff. Like I feel like those people like they have integrity and character, because before this was like a
They
trend.
know him.
Yeah, now it's like you see all these people and stuff like Roger Bonds, who like clearly has a bias, because he's like he said it because Diddy's not helping him get his son out of like Africa, like where he's been held for like a murder. So
Look, I'm gonna just speak my truth, and it doesn't really matter because I'm just speaking my truth, what I think. And again, I'm not trying to offend nobody. I agree with a lot of the things you said. I do think that Diddy has been allegedly abusive to women, but and let me backtrack real quick. We might need to cut that out. I love Diddy, bro. My Diddy was my hero. I still want to be like Diddy when it comes to everything else. Like, yo, I watch his documentaries. When I was a kid, I grew up on Diddy. Can't Nobody Hold Me Down was
yeah,
one of the first videos I ever seen, and I would just watch that shit over and over again on TV with him and Mace, and I just love how he does business, and he's right in a lot of aspects, bro. And back in that day, it was a cutthroat business. You gotta be like it was. So when it comes, we'll get back to the Pac shit. But when it comes to the Pac and Suge shit, he was just fighting fire with fire, in my opinion. And I don't really think he should be held responsible for that. But let's go back to what I'm trying to say. So I love Puff Daddy. Like, yo, I got the shot. I'm just telling you, that was my hero. I love my first childhood heroes was Puff Daddy, Will Smith. That's really it, to be honest. And then Kanye later on when I grew up. But so but I have to be honest, and with the physical abuse, I don't condone physical abuse
no,
at all.
no, I
Yeah.
don't think you should, but like I feel like I believe like that it occurred, but like I just don't think like that necessarily means like he raped her, because there was some like physical abuse. Like I think like people and stuff there. I think they like to insult people's intelligence, and like I really believe that if Diddy like raped that girl in 2018, 2009, any of those years he would have been in jail. He didn't have enough money to save Shine from going to jail. Like what I mean, no matter
Well, that's the
how
we can talk
powerful
about that.
how
We should talk
powerful
about that.
how powerful people are in the music industry and stuff. It doesn't like. Do you think Shine like really shot that lady in the face?
I think he did. I don't think Puffy had the gun on him. I think Shine had the gun on him. So when Puffy gets the blame for all that, I really don't think. Why does Puffy get the blame for that? Because I think Shine it was protecting his man. I
Yeah,
think he did shoot. I think he was the one who shot. I
he
don't think
shot him.
Puffy
He
shot
shot him on
one.
behalf of Puffy. But
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And like, but like, Puffy, like, weaseled out of the situation and stuff and everything.
How
Like,
did he weasel? How did he weasel out the situation though? I'm asking.
well, like I think like, getting different lawyers, like separating them stuff, like, usually like, when you guys are charged and stuff and everything, like, if me and you, and I say this because like I had a robbery like case and I had two co-defendants, like, my co-defendants and stuff, everything, we're not
He
separated.
snitched. He snitched. He definitely snitched. Yeah.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
where you're kind of separating yourself and stuff, everything at trial, like, what I mean? And that's not a good look.
Let me take that back real quick. Hold on. It's not because I'm afraid of Puffy. It's more like, okay, the definition of snitching is very
It's very loose.
vague.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah, these
loose.
days. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
I
like,
mean,
okay,
some
so
people,
basically what happened, right? Like Shine shot the gun in the air. He shot it in the air. And then I guess somebody got shot also, whatever, but it wasn't Puffy. So what would you do? You know? And I know Puffy's supposed to be part of the streets, but I don't believe in the streets at all. Let me tell y'all in your audience that the streets are a myth and the streets are dead. So everybody who believe in the streets, y'all are gonna hate on me for saying this shit. Oh, who's this Indian guy saying the streets are myth? Yeah, yeah, I'm saying what I'm saying. The streets are a myth. It's really corny at this point. So so at that, what are you gonna do? Like he didn't shoot the gun, and I know that was his man, but if he can just tell the DA, right? Oh, he shot that shit, and he wasn't even his bodyguard. If he shot that shit, okay, I can not do any time and build, still keep my empire. Because you gotta understand, everybody gotta understand this with Puffy. Puffy is a billionaire. So when you're a billionaire, you're responsible for a lot of people's lives, over 100, maybe over 200 people's lives and their livelihood. So you're building up a whole empire. You got to do what the fuck you got to do at that point. You know what I'm saying? And like Shine forgave him, right? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like Shine forgave. Like I just seen Shine do a show with Puffy, and he was in a suit, and he did a song Shine. The song is Shine, which is one of my favorite songs ever. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I I don't blame Puffy on that. That's all I gotta say
man, we
on
got
that. Yeah.
about 2.5 minutes left, man. I wanted to ask
Oh,
you.
let's keep going. We gotta keep going. I got so
Okay,
much more to say.
yeah, we could log back in. Like I'll send you
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
another
This
link.
is
Like,
about to be epic. All right,
yeah, like I wanted to ask you about the Josh Giddy situation, man. Like,
yeah.
like you know, so Josh Giddy plays for the Oklahoma
Yo, it's so
Thunder.
funny. Okay, continue.
Yeah, Oklahoma Thunder. There's a girl like who's underage, like that like post. There's a photo like circulating, like she just fucked Josh Giddy. That's what the photo says, and like the girl like she's underage, but in the state of Oklahoma, it's legal to have sex with 16-year-olds. In the state of California, is under the age of consent. Josh Giddy's 21 years old. There's been some allegations of him having sex with like, other girls that are underage. I guess he's from Australia. I don't know like the culture, like, maybe that is like a cultural thing, like, where that's acceptable and stuff. A little less acceptable here in the United States. It does happen. Malika Andrews has been called out for, not reporting on it. Stephen A. Smith and stuff and everything, he's addressed it. He said the reason he didn't is because he doesn't want to get a lawsuit, because he doesn't have all the facts. It seems like a little bit more of the facts are coming out that she was underage, but because like, she's not cooperating, we don't necessarily know if that happened in California or Oklahoma.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think they're not report? Why do you think they're not reporting on this? Why do
Oh
you
man,
think Kevin made?
we'll take
Mhm.
this commercial break. I'm gonna send you the other link, man, and like we'll talk
We'll
about that later
go
when we
part
come back.
two.
Yep.
I bet.